Yes, we have classified Appreciation Day that
Friday.
21st. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Friday the 21st.
20th.
20th. Thank you. Exactly. We're looking forward to it. I believe you all have received an invitation to attend. If you have not, we'll make sure and get you that information.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Mr. Otto, President Otto. Yes, I just wanted to point out to Trustee Zia that each year the Long Beach City College Foundation gives a grant for this specific celebration.
Any other comments or questions? Now we'll have a roll call vote.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Doug Otto.
Aye.
Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. 4.3 Revised Administrative Regulation 2006, Participation in Governance. This is a informational item. Is there a report on this, or is it?
Yes, just briefly, the internal governance process, we recognized that we needed to make some changes to change some of the titles, as well as the fact that the Academic Council and the College Planning Committee, some of the roles had shifted. I now co-chair the College Planning Committee, and Dr. Long now co-chairs the Academic Council, so we needed to make that change. So it's for informational purposes. No action required.
Right, as a regulation, there is no action required. If it was a policy change, it would be. So, there's that. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda as considered separately if a member of the Board of Trustees so requests, or the request to remove any items. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Zia, seconded by Trustee Archuleta. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Doug Otto.
Aye.
And Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Okay. Got me. Agenda item 6.1, new and modified courses. The recommended action is that the Board of Trustees approve the new and modified courses effective fall 2017 as submitted. They include changes to course title, taxonomy, a program code, that's their top codes, transfer status, unit value, basic skill status, student accountability, model code, work experience, transfer level, funding, or program status. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Archuleta,
Second.
second by Trustee Zia. Questions, concerns, comments? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Doug Otto.
Aye.
Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Here's unanimously. 6.2, new certificate. The recommended action is that the Board of Trustees approve the new PHP Web Programmer Certificate of Accomplishment effective fall 2016 as submitted. It was created at the request of the Advisory Committee and the instructional faculty, and has been approved by the Committee on Curriculum. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee
Second.
Zia, seconded by Trustee Archuleta. Any comments, questions, concerns? Roll call vote.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Doug Otto.
Aye.
Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Agenda item 6.3, inactivation of Certificate of Achievement. The requested action is that the Board of Trustees approve the inactivation of Certificates of Achievement as outlined here. Let me get to my... Academic President Kane, Senate President Kane, can you tell us which programs we're going to deactivate?
the Certificate of Achievements that we're recommending to be inactivated are in dietetics, journalism, theater, which is General and Acting Academy, and nursing, the RN. Their certificates we're not utilizing, and I want to recognize Michelle Grimes-Hillman, Dean Michelle Grimes-Hillman, who's in the audience tonight. She's done quite a bit of work to help us clean up our curriculum database and found that these are certificates that we're no longer utilizing.
Great. Okay, thank you. Then we move on to item 6.4, inactivation of
Excuse
AA.
me.
Sorry.
We need a motion and a second and a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So moved.
So moved by trustee Zia, seconded by trustee Archuleta. Comments, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Doug Otto.
Aye.
And Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to 6.4, inactivation of AA degrees. This is like the certificates of achievement, but the programs of study include biological science, removing the AA degree because it has an AS degree, medical assisting, which removes the AA degree because it has an AS degree, nursing, LVN to RN, we remove the AA because it has an AS, and nursing, the RNs remove the AA as it has an AS, and nursing vocational practical, for the same reasons it has a AA, remove the AA because it has an AS. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Baxter, second by trustee Kellogg. We've got the left side weighing in here now. Questions, comments? Roll call vote.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Aye. Doug Otto.
Aye.
Sunny Zia.
Aye.
And carries unanimously. 6.5, comprehensive review of programs of study. This is an information item. These reviews are conducted to ensure that curriculum offerings are current and accurate, and that each program has a catalog description which identifies how the award benefits the students. They have been reviewed and approved by the curriculum committee. There's no motion, it's informational. Questions, comments? Anybody want to just vote on it for the heck of it? Oh, Jeff.
I just, we've gone through about 4 or 5 items, and it shows, though, to many people, sometimes we've, governing bodies like this one has had to deal with where programs are discontinued, and there is a process, and we've actually been, if you've noticed, this is the process that takes place driven through our academic senate. It is not a board of trustees' actions to say we will do or we will not do something. And I was just watching all these changes you've seen, whether it be a program that's no longer active or one that is, so on and so forth. So it's just interesting. Sometimes this is sometimes too much in the weeds in many ways, but it is a very important component and how it is dealt with in a community college system here at Long Beach City College. And so just as we're going through it, it doesn't have as much drama as we've had in the past, but it's the same process. And so I'm just curious I just want to make that point that a lot of people put a lot of time and energy and effort into this to move forward, and we essentially approve those actions, and that's what we're doing here today. So nice work through everyone on the academic side of the house.
Great, thank you. We have a motion and a second. No, this is informational. Excuse me. We're on to 7.1. This is the annual approval of the student trustee to receive compensation for board meetings.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
trustee Kellogg, second by trustee Baxter. We ordinarily do this pursuant to board policy 2027 and administrative regulation 2005. Comments, questions?
Well deserved.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Doug Otto. And Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Aye. 7.2, the 2017-18 academic calendar. It was developed by a committee including administrators, faculty, and members of the classified staff. All constituent groups are represented in accordance with the district policy. The calendar has 175 days of instruction as required by Title V, all mandated holidays, flex days, and any additional board-declared holidays. Entertain a motion to approve the 2017-18 calendar.
So moved.
So moved by trustee Archuleta. Second. Second by trustee Kellogg. Any discussion, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Irma Archuleta.
Aye.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg. Doug Otto.
Aye.
Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Is there an agenda item for revised board policy 5017?
First reading.
Yes, it's a first reading.
Oh, okay, so it's proposed that the board policy and administrative regulations have been, the proposed revised board policy and administrative regulations have been distributed for review by the President's Leadership Council and are being presented for the first reading and discussion. These board policies and regulation changes are being recommended as a result of ongoing review and to ensure compliance with current education and legal codes and accreditation standards. This is a first reading, so there's no action taken on this. Moving on to 8.1, this is our facilities master plan. It is an action item, and we will have a presentation, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Board President Otto. And the previous master plan approved by the board took us out to 2020. This master plan will take us out to 2041. I'm sure Trustee Zia will still be here. But
I don't know.
but I won't be. But nonetheless, I'll turn it over to Vice President Gable to go through the presentation.
Thank you, President Oakley. And actually, we have Mr. Medhani Ephraim with us here tonight, our Deputy Director of Planning and Construction, that's going to go through the presentation.
Thank you, Superintendent President Oakley, Board President Otto, members of the board and members of the community, for allowing me to present to you today the LBCC 2041 Facilities Master Plan. I want to first start off by apologizing with everyone, and it's really cold in here. I've gotten already about 50 texts, so we're trying to address that. I heard you guys back there. So,
Do you know somebody in facilities?
I do. They're remotely addressing it right now. My apologies. So thank you for having me over today. My name, again, is Medhani Ephraim. I'm the Deputy Director of Planning and Construction for the district. Tim Wooten, the Director of District Facilities here, was here a second ago, but he just got a call, a family emergency he had to go address, unfortunately, so he apologizes for not being here. So I'll go ahead and start off this document. I think right off the bat, I just want to jump in and say this document, the last month or two, a month I would say, has gone through a few groups on campus, one being the Facilities Advisory Committee on April 13th, and then the College Planning Committee, co-chaired by Superintendent Oakley and Karen Kane, all of which we did a presentation and all approved the document. So we're excited and here to present it to you today. So the document is fairly long, 78 pages, so I won't go into too much details on every page, but we did structure, I'm hoping you've had a chance to look at it ahead of time. You'll see that we have essentially 5 sections, if you will. One being the executive summary, which will touch on the 30,000 level, if you will, of the plan. And then we broke up the 3 next sections by campus: liberal arts campus, Pacific Coast campus, projects, and the district-wide services, if you want to call it projects that are district-wide. And at the end, we're going to talk about funding projections that take us all the way out to 2041, and how this essentially will tell us how to plan way ahead of time, so we can plan accordingly. So I mentioned the executive summary. I do want to mention, I think, we've done master plans before. All of us have done it all over the place. This document is a group effort. There was a lot of people that worked on this document. So we've had a lot of lessons learned from all the areas that we've worked in. And one of the main things we wanted to do is, we're knee deep into the construction world, and some of you are also, but a lot of people are not. And so we wanted to make sure, give an executive summary and give some general descriptions of what we do and why we do it. And we were hoping that would give a kind of an introduction to the whole document. And so as you go through the documents, it would make sense. That's the goal. So the first page here is the executive summary page. Again, ASF, GSF, those are languages we continuously use in our world. If you're in the construction world, construction cost, total cost. And essentially this page kind of gives the general description of what those mean and how they apply to the document as a whole. Okay? The next 3 pages are essentially all the projects, current projects, all the way leading to 2041, as Anne-Marie stated, and the cost projections that lead up to them. And the different columns obviously have different meaning. The purple one, I don't know if you can kind of see it on your sheet. It's the third to last. We put a column in there for potential state funding that we're always going to try to go after state funding for some of our projects. We put a column in there for our current Measure 2E 2008 projects, how that's dwindling down. And the last column, obviously, is the next more funds that we would need to complete our projects leading up all the way to 2041. So that's, like I said, there's 3 pages in there. The final page gives you the grand total amount, obviously. One of the main things that's, I guess, hurt us in the past is the lack of state funding. And so as you folks already know, is that's hurt us a tremendous for our previous projects. And we're hoping to not to have to fall to that category again, but I think we're planning by addressing that in the future by potentially having a contingency. And so the contingency line item that you see there would address state-funded projects. And so that's the goal. We want to make sure just because a project does not get state-funded, we don't do the project. We don't want to be in that position again. So that's that line item. So I'm going through this pretty fast, and I'm hoping towards the end we can go through some Q&As. This document, I think, is one that we added. We haven't had it in the past. For a lot of folks, they don't know what the starting process of a project is. They ask, hey, why is it taking so long? And this right here is the goal and the intent for that. We wanted the public to see, our faculty and staff, to see from start to finish what it takes. And so these are color-coded, and you'll see a Gantt chart for each of the campus sections, LAC, PCC, and the district-wide services. Each have Gantt charts, schedules. They're color-coded to show this. So you could always reference back to this document to show what's the purple one, and you can see, oh, that's in planning phase. So as you can see, each project goes through a planning, design, DSA, which stands for Division of State of Architect, bid and award, construction, and then closeout. We've done really well on this campus to, in particular as it pertains to DSA, to make sure we don't have any open DSA projects. All of our old projects are all closed out. So I think we're extremely proud of that. We've worked with the Chancellor's Office. We worked with DSA to get that done, so we're very proud. So now to the liberal arts campus. This next file takes a second to load. This is the legend, if you will, for the map that's going to follow after. So this is our site plan, if you will, for the 2041 facilities master plan. The buildings that you see in gray, pretty much we've touched and done already. And the buildings that you see in blue, maroon? We're going to be either renovating or doing new construction. And the dotted lines are buildings we're going to be demoing. So The buildings that you see in maroon, they're currently we know for sure that's going to be a new construction. M is currently an FPP, which is a final project proposal with the state, and that's how it's been submitted with the state as a new construction because an analysis was done that it's actually better to do new construction than renovation. And again, same thing with G, and we're currently doing the FPP for that now, which you'll see in about a month in the 5-year construction plan. Part of this will include, as I don't know if you can tell, is the new aquatic center. That's something that's been we've been trying to do and get. We're hope that's one of the projects that we have in our 2041 master plan. So the next projects, these are all LAC projects similar to the executive summary. Essentially, they just have the last column with some project description to give you an idea of what we're doing in that building. And the total dollar amount for LAC at the bottom there. And then here you go into much more detailed project description for each project. These first 5 we're currently working on right now. If I go back here, we're currently going in bid right now, I believe, for that. But the first 5 projects we're knee deep into design. These ones are starting from the outdoor kinesiology labs. There are more projects down the line. So I'll kind of move forward here a bit fast to get to the PCC campus. Oh, before I get to the PCC campus, so this is the LAC Gantt chart I was talking about, similarly color-coded to the schedule that I was talking about with the planning, design, DSA, bid, and whatnot. So the color code matches that. So we put this here so folks can see where the project lays out on a Gantt chart schedule to give it an idea, a good idea of how it's laid out. So the next is the section is the Pacific Coast campus. We've done the same thing as the LAC as far as how we've outlined this. The first is the legend key for the PCC campus. And as you can see, PCC, we've touched most of the buildings, which is great. We're very excited about the PCC campus because you can visibly see the changes that we've done at PCC. We're excited about completing currently QQ and RR. I think most of you were in the groundbreaking ceremony. So as you know, we're in construction right now. So once that's done, of the old buildings, MM will be the only one that's next, basically, to do renovation. And the orange one, not orange, excuse me, maroon ones are new construction for the campus that we're proposing. As you can see, FF is a building that's going to be demoed. The next section here is similar, once again, to the executive summary, similar to what we did with LAC. This is for PCC. It has the last section there with some quick verbiage for project descriptions. And then it goes forward with detailed projects for the campus. And then once again, a Gantt chart for PCC with the schedules that follows. Next section, the third section for the projects is the district-wide services. Obviously, we didn't have a campus map for this because it's going to touch different areas on campus. So we just had the project and a summary, if you will, with the project description. And detailed project descriptions followed. And obviously a Gantt chart. So some of these projects, we can only do a Gantt chart for the first 2. The others really will follow through pretty much the duration of the 2041 master plan, if you will. It's not one specific project per se. So hence why that schedule looks like that. The final section is what we discussed with the funding projections. So here we've grouped it in 3 sections: LAC, PCC, district-wide services, and you'll see one last page that shows everything. It's projections, financial projections. I'm going to proceed to the last page because I think that's the most critical one. This is PC, this is district-wide services. Oops, did I pass it? Yeah. So this page for us, as you can see, takes it all the way out to 2041. You look at the grand total. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, and I apologize for the size, but it shows annually what we would need to get our construction programs, to do our construction program annually. So we can plan ahead. Some years are higher than others because of the size of the project, not necessarily that we're doing more per se. So I zipped through that extremely fast. And so we, again, do you have any questions?
I have a couple comments and questions.
Yes.
Trustee Zia.
Thank you, Medhani. First of all, wow. I have to say wow, because I asked for more transparency, and I think this is a clear indication that our district is doing that and striving to achieve more and more transparency. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Especially since you have the whole, kit and caboodle in there with the Gantt charts and the projections. Are we going to be measuring against these line items on or getting reports on how we're doing as far as being on time and on budget as we're forecasting here? How are we going to be informed about that from your end?
So, I mean, at the end of each project, we have to, it comes to the board for notice of completion. At that point, you would know that, one, is it late, what stage of the project it's at. But I think that would be I don't know, Anne-Marie, if you can touch on that, but I think at that point we would know what the change order is, if any. Obviously, we don't want that. What schedule was we had set forth for the project.
I recognize that. I know that's our current practice, but is it,
Sure.
are we going to have some sort of a way, to, maybe early warning signs that, hey, we're coming against this originally estimated
I see.
project
see.
schedule and budget, and some,
Sure.
preventative ways that we can mitigate overruns? Is that something that we foresee doing? I certainly would be interested. I know
Sure.
the public would be as well,
Absolutely.
that I represent.
I
and
think
we all do.
that's a fair question, Trustee Zia. We would have to report that to Anne Marie, and so go ahead, Anne Marie.
Well, the amounts that are represented in here will be the budgets for any given project. And so as we currently do with our current bond funds, is we have a report that shows what the original budget is, and then any adjustments to the budget, and then we compare that to what has been spent. So these will be the budgets that are established by project. If there are any changes to the budget, all budget changes come to the board for approval.
Yeah.
So those will continue to come to the board for approval. As far as timelines, we do, and again, this is the priority and the timelines that are established for these projects. Each semester at the Facilities Advisory Committee, if we need to change a priority or change the timeline, that is discussed at the Facilities Advisory Committee, and that change is made at that point in time. So annually, when we do the facilities update on where we are with construction, we kind of cover if we're behind schedule or on schedule or that type of thing.
Is it possible to get more frequent reporting? Just because more, not just for our own benefit as the board members that we are, but also the public, so they know how their money is being spent, not just on an annual basis, which we're great about providing that, but just perhaps a little bit more frequent, so we go above and beyond what our current practices are. And how are we comparing against the master plan that we set forth right now for years to come? Hopefully, I'll still be around. I'm not sure. I think the seat is going to age me, has already, but that's a separate conversation. If you could just perhaps maybe allude to the frequency, or if we can consider upping the frequency for the benefit of the public, to know how their dollars are being spent a little bit more regularly and that we're being responsible with our spending. Would that be possible?
Well, that is definitely something that would be a request that the board president would make of the superintendent president, and then we would consider that. We do have a citizens oversight committee that meets twice a year. The same information is provided to the citizens oversight committee, and then there's also a report to the board of trustees as well. So